Okay, I've got this all ready to go. Now I want to prepare the connector itself. This is actually kind of a challenge. I typically need 2 pairs of pliers to do this. I want to open up the clamp. The reason is it's really hard to try to do this while it's in the clamp, and because you're going to be soldering on this metal here, the clamp's going to get really hot, and that's going to melt into the rubber jacket on your cable. So what I try to do is I get 1 pair of pliers that holds the connector. You could do this in a pan device as well, or something that holds it, and I'm just going to take another pair of pliers and I'm going to bend out the clamps so that they're not going to be melting my wire once they get up to, 500 degrees here in a second. So I spread them out. Other thing I often do too is I will take the tip and I'll bend it up just a little bit so it's out of the way as well. And this particular connector, and they're all different, but this particular one does have a little hook there that you're going to wrap your wire around. And that does actually make it easier or harder depending on what you prefer. But what I do is, because years of experience has told me that sometimes it's hard to get the solder to stick to that metal, I will scrape with my pliers, with my screwdriver or my poker, and kind of abrase it a little bit. My experience has been that helps, at least with the cheaper plugs, and this is a cheap plug, it helps the solder stick a little bit. Okay, I've done that. I need to tin. I want to get a little solder in here. I am not going to tin the tip, and I'll explain in a moment, but I am going to tin down here because I want just a little bit of solder to grab onto. This particular one with the hook, I don't think I have to do this because it has a hook, but most of them that I've worked with do not have a hook there. You can see what I've done. I've just made a little place for the solder to stick to. Okay, got a little soldering station potential safety hazard over here. All right, always gotta be careful. You don't want your soldering iron melting your cable. That's not good. Okay, here's the fun part. And may I admit, the challenging part. I have to get this in here now. Remember, the jacket, it's not hot. The jacket needs to be up as far where the clamp is gonna be on the black. So you've got a couple options here. If you're working with this wire, I could have hooked it around that. And the reason why I'm not hooking it around is because most the connector you're working on might be this one that does not have a hook. Now you may be working on another jacket that does not have a hook. So I want to show you what that is like. Without a hook, I'm just going to kind of ignore the hook here, and I'm going to try to make sure my rubber jacket is where the rubber meets the clamp. I'm actually going to do something kind of interesting here. I'm going to bend it up a little bit. And that's how I'm going to solder it. I don't want the rubber to be resting on the metal because the metal's going to get hot and melt the rubber. So I got it all kind of lined up. In fact, I so don't want the clamp that I'm going to clamp it down. I'm not a clamp dude. Don't like me clamps. Now I've got lots of place. I'm cool with the rubber, where the rubber's at. I got solder on the cable. I got solder on the metal. I just need to get the tip up smoking and rocking it, and all the solders will melt together and it'll be beautiful. Here we go. Tip and get it all together. I know I should be adding fresh solder right now, but I do not have enough hands to pull that maneuver off. And everything looks pretty happy, I think. Don't want to wait there too long. Just as a reminder, I'm holding it with my left hand here so that the rubber is not touching the hot metal. Now we're cool. And now I know I can clamp this down. It'll be on the rope. That actually is a little hot to touch. Now this last wire, bend it up through the hole. This is why I didn't put solder on the hole. Come on, little needle nose. Come through the hole, please. There we go. Nice, right? And it's okay if it sticks straight up because I'm going to chop her off. I'm going to chop it off in a second. I'm not going to use so much solder that prohibits me from chopping it off. Some people do bend it down. And bending it down is fine too, but I've found it that it actually gets larger and more likely to short to the outer chassis if I bend it down and don't cut it down. It's hard to cut if you bend it down. So I'm going in. Now's the point I can actually add solder while I'm there. I don't need a lot. Whew, we're done. And this is going to be awesome. Chop it. like that. We'll stop the video.